Steve Kerr is going to join us in exactly 1 hour. So as we march toward that, and it'll be Steve's first comments with regard to what Draymond Green said after the game last night. Obviously, we're going to ask him about it. Steve spoke before Draymond did, so there wasn't really an opportunity for him to react to it. We've got that for you in exactly 1 hour, coming up at 3:15. Glad you're with us. Larry is in for dibs.
Hello.
Yep, for the rest of the week and early next as well. What'd you think? I know for me, it's there are two kinds of nights in Bay Area sports radio. And you know, there are fast ones and there are slow ones and busy ones and some that are more interesting than others. But there are the nights, or the days, I should say, where Draymond said something really interesting the night before, and then the nights where he didn't. It's completely different. Like, he is, for my money, I mean, there's a lot of people who get a lot of talk right now. Brock Purdy is probably having a bigger year than anyone in terms of mentions.
Right.
But as far as everybody stop and listen to what this person has to say, for me, Draymond Green is still that guy in our market.
Well, because everybody else, and when I say everybody else, I mean everybody else, cares somehow how they're perceived. Draymond is in that. That's why he's got his own podcast. That's why people do listen when he talks, because he's all in as a competitor, and he tells you how he feels, and he doesn't pull punches. And you get the feeling that, like it, dislike it, respect it, disrespect it, whatever, you're getting his honest feelings. You're not getting some message that was concocted by Ray Ritter. It's not a PR spin. It's not a, you know what I mean? It's like, this is how he feels. Yeah. And so there's so much crap in this world as far as, we're just going to, I was looking for the slider and, I went the other way.
Somebody hits a game-winning homer. Take us through the pitch.
The
other guy threw it, and then I swung at it.
What'd you think of how many minutes you played as a team sport, and Steve's in charge? And, there's just so much drivel that when Draymond speaks, it's like, yeah, all right, love it, hate it, whatever. You're getting him. And it's always, I think it's always entertaining. I think he's an exceptionally bright basketball player. I don't always agree with everything he says, but you know what? I like the fact that he says it. I like the fact that he's got the courage of his convictions. I like the fact that he'll speak up. So anytime he speaks, it's a good day the next day.
Well, and we'll let you hear what he had to say here in just a second. But I will add, just to sort of respond to what you just said, I do think there are times where Draymond Green, and he doesn't set out to do this, but Draymond Green's comments turn many media members in particular into hypocrites. Because we beg for honesty.
Right.
We beg for real. We beg for interesting.
Then we dissect it.
And then we get it. And then we go, well, that was tone deaf.
Right.
You don't say that out loud.
Can't believe you said that.
I mean, let's go. Look, I believe that. I know you do too. Can you believe that Kyle Shanahan last week looked directly at a room you were sitting in and said, Steve Wilkes knows that he messed up? I still can't believe he said it. I think it's super interesting that he said it.
Yeah.
And my whole take the next day was, let's make it less about, did Steve Wilkes make a bad call? Everybody messes up. Steve said that he messed up. And let's make it less about whether or not Kyle Shanahan should have called a timeout when he heard it. And let's make it more about, if he said that in front of a microphone, what does that tell you is being said without a microphone? Like, to me, it said, there's some discord going on here.
Or it also tells you that Kyle's honest. Like, you know what he said since then is, my team is hurt and tired and slow. Okay, so tired and slow. I mean, I loved it because I was like, you know what? Damn, that's just spot on. The team is tired. The team is slow. So the bye week's going to help the tired, but there's going to be some changes afoot that change the team from slow to faster, and that's going to be kind of interesting to watch. So I like people who speak the truth. There's a lot of just talk out there. People are just talking. Kyle speaks the truth, and that's why some of his stuff's really interesting. Draymond speaks the truth as he sees it as well, And I love those guys. I love the people that will come out and tell you how they honestly feel, and then we can just dissect that, and analyze it.
And by the way, that does not mean that you can't criticize someone for being honest. They come out and say something you don't like, then you can absolutely say that. But my point is, I don't always love it when guys have that full level of honesty, and we go, well, you shouldn't be touching that.
Right.
And then we'll point to somebody who went straight vanilla ice cream and go, that's the way you handle it. No, I don't want Klay Thompson telling me everything was fine last year. No, it wasn't.
Right.
No, it wasn't. And I got 2 eyes and 2 ears and a brain. And so, no, it wasn't. Now, if you want to tell me that, great. That's your platform. You do whatever you want. But I'm not going to prop him up for telling me that the sky is purple when I know that it's blue. This is what I know was going on last year. Draymond Green spoke on it.
Last year we had an awful team as far as chemistry goes. It was pathetic. But chemistry has been a strong suit here. That's why Steph has been here for 15 years, Klay's been here for 13, I've been here for 12, and Luna's been here for 9. Because chemistry is a strong suit, and Andre Iguodala. The list goes on and on. That's why so many guys have been around here for so long, because the chemistry is what we've hung our hat on. Well, you look at last year and you say, oh, man, this team hasn't lost a Western Conference series under Steve Kerr. And then it happens. The big reason why is our chemistry sucked. And so, I don't look at that as, oh, man, like this is a team that we've struggled with chemistry. I mean, yeah, we struggled with our chemistry for years. It was a one-year thing. Things, stuff happens, and it was an anomaly. But, we're right back where we need to be in that department. And most importantly, I think there's still room and will be growth in that department.
I would argue you're focusing on the wrong thing if what you took from that is, oh, man, there goes Day-Day ripping on Jordan Poole from last year again. When I listened to Draymond last night, I hear the word you brought up on the crossover. I hear joy. I hear relief. I hear about somebody and a group of people who have gotten out of a bad situation, and now they're in a good one. I said this last week when the Warriors were on the road and won a basketball game for the first time in 12 years, it felt like. I said this. I go, do you know what the Warriors feel like? We haven't heard from them yet. They haven't said this. They feel like someone who just got out of an abusive relationship. And everybody has been there. I'm not saying everyone's been abused, but you've all been in a bad situation and you got out of it. Or even take it, this is the way I feel. I've told you before, I get migraine headaches. And I have said this a bunch of times. When a migraine goes away, it's the most euphoric feeling that I can imagine, because you're free.
Right.
You're free, and the whole world, everything looks different.
The burden has been lifted.
Totally. And you can hear it in his voice. So that's what I hear.
I think it's really interesting. It's funny, I used to do that show with G-Rad for all those years, and he would be like, what athlete do you want to go cross-country with? He was always talking about going cross-country. And the funny thing is that's what this NBA season is. It's a gigantic cross-country road trip. And if you're going on a cross-country road trip with a bunch of people you like, respect, and enjoy being around, it's joyous and awesome. And guess what? You bond and you get stronger as you go.
Yep.
But if you go on a cross-country 6-month road trip with a bunch of people you don't respect, don't like, don't admire, don't enjoy being around, you fracture. And the Warriors are not the only team that's ever done it. You could make an argument that one of the reasons the Warriors have their last title was because the Suns fractured down the stretch.
Yeah.
Right? They had a lot of talent. They were really, really good. But they didn't grow together. They grew apart. This is what makes Steve Steve. And this is why I think Kerr is one of the great coaches. Because similar to a Phil Jackson who, hey, Michael, read this book. Hey, let's go. We're in Washington, D.C. Let's go take a trip to the Washington Monument. Let's enjoy life together. The interview that Monty did yesterday with Kerr, he's like, Kerr's tell Steph, hey, I want you to golf. And Kerr said, hey, you know what? When we go on a long trip, and I'll say to guys, hey, you know what? You guys may want to bring your clubs. I mean, who does that?
Right.
Most coaches are like, no. Oh, it's a distraction. No, but Steve gets it. It's like, hey, we're going on it's life. If I want the best out of Mark Willard, I got to make sure that Mark Willard, when he's not here, is happy in his life. And Steph's happy in his life. So he told Steph, have dinner with your family and golf, because when you do that, you walk in here and you're in an incredible mood. So you got to know how to bring a group from Halloween to the 4th of July and keep them united. And Kerr's literally, I think, is an expert at it. And Draymond's right. More years than not, the Warriors have stayed together from that trek, while other teams have fractured, and they've benefited. Last year, they were the team that fractured.
Look, he said it to us over and over when we asked last year, what's going on the road? And they said the same thing over and over. They're like, it's a total head scratcher. We don't know. Yeah, we do. You just couldn't say it. You couldn't say it. Draymond said it last night. Take a listen.
Last year was horse. It's hard to come to work. Y'all see me trying to do Clay's little paper airplane. It was hard to come to work. Not fun, And so this year you see the joy, on guys' face when they come in the building. You got guys like staying over 2 or 3 hours after, just sitting around talking, getting here 2 and 3 hours early just to be here. It's like you start to see that and you're like, okay, this is a group that likes being together.
9 wins on the road. I know that the standings will say 11. Forget that. Those last 2 were fake because the other team punted them to you at the end of the year when the Warriors got the 6th seed. 9 actual wins on the road in my book. And if you ever want to know why, because we all wanted to know why, there's your answer. He just gave it to you. It's a year late, but they couldn't say that last year because they were in it. You can't speak on it when you're still in it. They're out of it now. It's actually a beautiful thing. These are beautiful quotes. This is not, I do not translate this as, wow, Day-Day took another shot at Jordan. There's some of that in there somewhere. That is their story. What I hear is a man who's got the handcuffs off.
Yeah. And then, when you're on the road with people you don't like, you can't wait to get home because then you spend time with your family. But on the road, you got to probably spend time with the people that you're on the trip with. And how many times, and I've talked to many people, broadcasters and players and PR people, and you have as well, men on the road, they'll dine together, they'll go out.
Of course.
They're sharing time, they're breaking bread, they're experiencing things together. And if you like those people, man, it's like we've been on the road for 10 days, but it seems like a day. But if you hate those people and you can't stand to be around them and it's this terrible vibe, it's like, dude, when is this road trip getting over so I can go see my wife and kids and get away from these guys?
Can you imagine how miserable that would be? Like, I know that we think of it as glitz and glamour and all of that, but...
it's 5-star travel.
No, of course, they're in beautiful hotels, but like if it's Tuesday and you're in Oklahoma, like what? And I don't like anybody and I can't come out of my room because we won't all eat together because there's so much tension in the room, it's miserable. That's not fun.
Right.
That's not, like... so why were they
like a tooth extraction?
Yeah, why were they so good at home? Because when the game was over, they went and got in the car and drove home to their families.
Right.
Or if you're Moses Moody, you walk down the street to your apartment or whatever. Like it was so much easier. This just, to me, this explains everything.
It really does. And we're seeing it on the floor.
Yeah.
That's the other thing about basketball that's so beautiful is that you can see the chemistry on the floor. Like baseball teams, the 78 Yankees hated each other. Bronx Zoo, Reggie, Billy, all the fighting. They got on the field, they kicked butt.
Barry Bonds, Jeff Kent.
Right.
Yeah.
These guys, Kent won the MVP. Bonds was like second. Right. They hated each other. So, in basketball, though, there's so much sharing of the ball and how you play, sacrifice, and everything that goes into it. If you have bad chemistry, it shows.
We'd love to hear from you on what you think of Draymond Green's post-game comments after the Warrior win last night. Oh, those Kings were almost really cute. But anyway, thanks, Clay.